that's the main thing. What it takes, if you're on 40-inch thinners, that kind of average, putting your tape on every 40-inch spacing, you're going to be around $1,500. That's a good number to use for pretty much turnkey. As long as there's not just a ton of bells on this, is a good shape fit. You get in a lot of odd shape fields, the price again per acre can be about 30s. It's going to go a little bit higher than that.
You guys all see drip moving further north. I know most of it's concentrated right now down around Lubbock. And do you think you're going to see it up here in the northern panhandle moving up? And what are the advantages that you might see that happen?
Yes, it is going to move north. I've actually done about 360 acres north of here for one individual. And can I hear me? And the first year he put it in, it was on corn. The first year he was he called me to tell me, he said, well, the drip didn't beat my best sprinkler. I said, well, really? He goes, yeah. He said, the sprinkler beat it by 4%. And I said, well, we were close. He goes, but it took 20% less water. Well, this last year, the drip average on the 360 acres beat his best dose by 35 bushels, and again on 20% less water.
There's actually a lot of drip up here up north. I mean, it's in Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, Nebraska, so there's actually a lot of drip, and it's definitely moving this way. You pivot started up north and moved south. We started down south, we're moving north as the water falls off, and you've got to look for a more efficient way to get your pumping costs down. And drip is definitely going to move this way.
And one of them is, there's a huge advantage in corn with drip, but it's not the huge advantage that we saw in cotton. I mean, we haven't been able to take corn from 200 bushel to 600 bushel like we took drip from bale cotton to 3-bale cotton. You don't have that kind of evidence. But you can, again, with a 20% decrease in pumping costs, we're able to use less fertilizer. There's some places that we can trim. We're just on the yield and reduction of pumping, we're saving somewhere in the 250 to 300 dollars.
What kind of life do you consider as about average of a drip system?
Well, for that one, I would like to quote the experts, Ted Danson, Whoopi Goldberg, Meryl Streep. Buried polyethylene in the landfill lasts forever. The truth is, the oldest system out here was put in back in like 1980, and it's still functioning today. And even Freddie Lamb put some systems in up in Kansas in 1989, and he was figuring a 10 to 15-year life, and he's still using the same system. The tapering that we have available today is a lot better than it was in 1980, 1988. Again, it's something, if you maintain it, just like the tractor, if you maintain it, take care of it, it will last. Really, with the products that we both use are both high pressure injection molded drippers. That dripper is injected at 3,000 psi, and unless you put 3,000 psi on it, you're not going to affect the flow in that dripper as long as you keep the lines going. With a good maintenance program and paying attention to what you're doing, it can effectively last there.
Going back to the spacing on the tape, on the 30-inch centers on your corn, could you get by with 60-inch spacing on your tape?
What soil type do you have?
Sandy loam.
I feel more comfortable with spacing your winter closer. It'll help with uniformity.
Germination. The problem with the germination is if you're on every row, the tape is right under that seed bed. If you put it over, if you're on 30s, you move it over 15 inches. So now not only do I have to move it that 10 to 12 inches up, I've got to move it that 15 inches over. And that becomes an issue because, again, you look at the pivot. If I had only one tower on the pivot, it would substantially increase the acreage. The further that seed is away from the drip line, I would substantially increase the amount of water I have to get in there.
I guess just following up with that, what I'm thinking about is if you've got 2 rows and the tape is right between the 2 rows, you're 15 inches apart with each one of them. I just wondered if that would work.
If you plant flat, you definitely increase your potential. But again, you have to then pray for germinating. Once you get it up, in fact, that white corn picture that I showed, that's on the 60s. But we got a good rain timely, it got germinated, everything. Once you get it up, it's not a problem, it's just that germination.
Can you explain a little bit the relationship of, Jerry, you mentioned earlier, prepping your soil in the fall after you got your crop off rather than waiting until the spring? Can you talk a little bit more about that and how that affects irrigation with drip?
The only people I have that have trouble with germination in most of the soils I deal with are because they wait till the last minute and they've still got cotton stalks out there now, and they'll come out there right before planting and throw a bed up and they're going to get ready to plant. And there is no way in that loose, fluffy bed that you can make water move. I've got a compaction book. It's very complicated. It's very thick. I will loan it to you all, but the result is that water does not move in areas of different compaction until it's reached saturation. So when you get that fluffy stuff, you have to saturate the ground below it in order to get that moisture to finally start to wick up in the that's a problem. My best grower, he's on the 80s, and he has never had a problem with germination. Within a week of harvest, he chops his stalks, he shreds them, runs the stalk chopper with a disc whisker, side dresses 10-34-0, 7 inches either side of the tank with a coulter rig, and plants wheat right over the top of the tank, and turns the system on, waters it, gets the wheat going, and then gets off and leaves it alone all the way. The day before he plants, he runs in, he sprays that wheat with Roundup. He's never run a sand fighter since he started doing this. His cotton shoots out of the ground. This year, we didn't have that kind of year. We had a very cool summer. He made 2,328 pounds today. And he's got 4.5 pounds of
Jerry, I was wondering one other thing. Most people on corn, they usually use of course, combine and a grain cart. And I was just wondering what a year like this when we had a wet year. It's hard to stay in between, and a lot of our equipment don't fit them rows. And I just wondered what happens whenever you run a grain cart, say, over the top of one of your drip lines on a pretty damp soil or wet like it was this year. Thank you.
We would sure rather it be dry. Because we'd rather it be dry because the ruts can be a tremendous issue. The good news with the drip, because of the way we water, we can taper that water out and have that effectively dried down. But if you get rain, it's still an issue, and I would wait as long as you could to dry up before you got in.
If you do get compaction on that, you can actually turn your drip system back on. If you do compact your tape, you can open those drip tapes back up. Now, if you get down in it's a DD spin to the tape, it's not that major of a problem to repair it, but you don't want to do that. But you can actually, if you do get your so much compaction that your tape's flat, you can open it back up with it. Touch back on the question that was asked a while ago about fluffing your soil up when you first start or you install a drip system. That is an issue. If you go in and you rip that tape in 10 to 14 inches deep, you've opened up a channel down there that the water can't go through. So either pack the rows, or the best thing is get your system in as early as you can. If you're going to do the drip, don't wait 3 weeks before you're going to plant it. Try to get it in early so you can use Mother Nature's help with your soil compaction back down. Let your percolation get